Hello. A lot of you messaged me with your concerns about the children's book Katundra, which was this was a book about, you may recall, sort of the thick cat that was fat shamed into dieting her way to popularity by a rodent. And again, this was part of a series of children's books from the 80s and 90s. You may recall my cat vomited on it in a show of solidarity, called Serendipity books. These were written about animals who have some kind of a problem. And over the course of the book, they usually learn something that a child might find inspirational or motivational in his or her life. Now, Katundra's was don't be fat and people will like you, which was problematic. I have another one here. This is the only other one that I own a copy of still. This one is called Crickle-Crack. Now, I'm gonna give you a second to guess what it might be about. Remember, this was the 80s. If you still haven't figured it out, the slogan on this one says, "It's important to know when to say no." This is a story about Squeakers. He is a squirrel. So let's begin. This is the Crickle-Crack tree. It grows on the island of Serendipity. According to the text, it's not pretty at all. Sort of shades of Katundra. And it says here, never go near the tree and never ever eat the buds, for the buds are too sweet and you'll never be able to eat just one. Here's where we meet our hero. This is Squeakers. Squeakers is filled with love and life. Basically, Squeakers is sort of a nerd. One day, Squeakers comes upon the Crickle-Crack tree, and he just wants to know what all the fuss is about. So he tries a bud. And next thing you know, Squeakers is tripping balls. He's loving his life. The grass seemed to glow a little greener right before his eyes. The songs of the singing birds seemed a little louder. He's loving it. He's loving the bud of the Crickle-Crack tree. He misses school, goes home, lies to his parents, says he was at school, says that he had some hickory nuts with the guys after school. I find it best not to question the society of these creatures because they go to school, they live in a home with, at the very least, they have stairs and seasonings. It's very mysterious. Squeakers needs to read something from a book for school, but he can't stay awake. So he's brought a Crickle-Crack bud home with him, and he just pops one, and now he cannot sleep. He is feeling it. Squeakers is now completely out of his mind on drugs. He looked terrible. He had big black circles under his eyes, and his tail kind of drooped. He was pooped. Pooped, it's not the word that I would use to describe the state that Squeakers is in now. So Squeakers goes to school, and I do have questions about the school, because Squeakers' home, compared to the school, was very elaborate. Stairs, a soup bowl, salt and pepper shakers, a table. He did just have a candle for lighting, which you would think there'd be some electricity. But the school is the forest. Here's the teacher. She has at her disposal a log and a small stick. She's not happy, and I'll tell you why. Squeakers is tripping again. He's brought the buds to school. He's not able to pay attention. This is This is a disaster. Okay, this is such a dark tale. Recess came, then lunch, and still Squeaker stood at the tree, giggling crazily. So he's out of it, out of his mind on drugs. One of his fellow students, a bunny. Let's think on that. This is a weird society. This is an interspecies school system. He asked, what's so funny that you would want to be punished all day? Oh ho! Oh ho! This is not how we talk in school, but he is on drugs. It's not a what, it's an it. I beg your pardon. What's an it? Asks the bunny, totally confused. You and me both, sister. Anyhow, Squeakers tries to give the bunny some Crickle-Crack, and the bunny is an absolute narc who tells the teacher, and the teacher tells Squeaker's parents, and they came rushing to school. Squeakers, I'm going to show you the illustration now, and it is very grim. Squeakers is still, as they say, pooped. He has aged 20 years at least. This is a squirrel who has a serious problem. Both of his parents are having to hold him up on either side. The party's over for Squeakers. Later at home, Squeakers cried, "I'm so sorry, Mother. I never meant any harm." "Harm always comes from the Crickle-Crack tree," his father said angrily. So there is some toxic masculinity in his home, and that does often drive a sensitive child to drug use. He grabbed his axe, and at this point, you're really on the edge of your seat. You're not sure what he's going to do with that axe, but he storms out the door, and joined by his neighbors, so it's a mob. They go to, and there's a picture of Squeakers coming down off of his trip. Once there, they forced their way past the thorns, began chopping and hacking at the tree until it was nothing more than a pile of rotten wood. "Gather all the buds that have fallen to the ground and throw them on the pile too. All must be burned," with 2 exclamation points. And there's a little drawing of them all. And there's a bunny. There are 2 bunnies, in fact, beside themselves, just furious. The squirrels came with the tools. The bunnies are there for emotional support. So they have destroyed the tree and all went back to normal. What's this? An ellipsis. That's right. This story has a dark ending, potentially room for a sequel, some might say. This community is going to be plagued with the drug problem for some time to come. I am a little concerned that a seedling is growing from a bud. That's not how botany works, but this is one of the rare serendipity books with a very grim, bleak ending and sort of a cliffhanger. You're left to wonder what's going to happen to this community of, well, squirrels and rabbits. That's all we know for sure that it's comprised of. But anyway, that's some pretty dark stuff. As with Katundra, it does end with a poem. This one's not as offensive. "Be aware of all you see and never be tempted by the Crickle-Crack tree." I'm just going to tell you, when I was a kid, I read this book. I had no idea what I was supposed to take from it. I did not know it was about drugs. I didn't know what drugs were. All I knew was that if I saw a Crickle-Crack tree, which you'll remember does not exist in real life, I was not going near it. And it's because I didn't want to turn out like this. I did not want this to happen to me. I hope it doesn't happen to you. I hope you have a good night. Remember Squeakers. And just hope that wherever he is, he's clean and sober.